remember, this is a discussion. And mask, so I'm going to take it off now.
I'm not sure what's going to happen here, Jill, but it's round number 42, and I have my dog pulling me, and it's going to be amazing. I just want to introduce everybody. Jill Diamond.
Hello.
Would you introduce your dog?
My dog, Gypsy, come here. Joanne, she's not coming. Ah, here we go. Gypsy, where's your Gypsy? Here, Gypsy.
And we have Christian Mansour.
Gypsy.
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello.
And this is Kike.
The
He's a
beautiful
pet, and he's a Shih Tzu. And we also have a new guest. This is Mauricio Sulaiman Jr.
Hello, Jill.
And he likes to read a lot about Mexican animals in danger of extinction. And he knows a lot of animals.
great. That's great. And who else?
Joanne Bessinger.
Joanne. Dog
Want to introduce her, Jill?
Joanne is our dog whisperer. She's a great trainer out of New York, but she does the whole tri-state area. And Joanne, you'll tell us how we can reach you before you leave.
Sure.
We won't ask you the big questions like, why does my dog hide my jewelry? But we may have some little questions to ask you during this program.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Joe. And this is Oliver, Joanne's rescue dog.
Well, this was actually, Sam is sitting in for Olive because she decided she wanted to hang out with me. I'm sure she'll pop in a little bit.
Hello, Sam. I'm sorry.
It's like, that's okay.
And Victor? Victor?
Yes.
We can hear you.
All
My
right.
dog was barking, so.
We have
𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗡𝗗, she's the director of WBC University. Do you have your pet with you, 𝗧𝗔?
No, I was telling Jill, I don't have it with me. But I have a picture. Right now, Miko, my dog, those are my children, and that's Miko. And he's in a drug addict clinic. They asked me to take him now in confinement to this clinic because he's very, very good with the interns there, and I miss him so much. I want to cry now that I see you, everybody, with your pets. That's Miko. Okay, Gilbert, thank you.
Welcome, Miko.
Oh yes, I want to go and get Miko now.
And also Lou DiBella. Lou, how are you?
Hey everybody, this is Topolina.
Lou, I
She's
saw
a,
pictures
she's
of
10 month old Papillon that we adopted actually like right before the pandemic.
Lou, I saw you sleeping with your dog. How many dogs you have, Lou?
Well, I had a little guy for 14 years and he passed away in December. And I was like completely crushed because even though he was old, it was sort of a little bit out of nowhere. And I was really upset. And I mean, he was my constant companion. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll wait to get a dog. And then like, what am I waiting for? And I realized that probably the best way to honor Chappie, who was a rescue dog, was to rescue another dog. So this little one was rescued from a puppy mill, and they had dropped her off at a dog store, and she was sick, and the dog store didn't accept her. They put her in the back in a crate, didn't really feed her, and they gave her back to the truck driver. And he was afraid that the breeder would have her killed, so he brought her to a friend of mine that rescues dogs, and he called me and he said, I have this beautiful little dog. So now she's a fella.
Soft heart, beautiful, Lou. Well, you know, these dogs are rentals. We have to keep going on with them. I mean, it's difficult when we lose one. We don't replace them, we just add to them. There are many rooms in our hearts for these animals.
But you were saying before we've been spending too much time with our dogs, which is absolutely true, and I'm worried about that with her going forward. But that being said, imagine going like these dogs have been such a comfort and a pandemic. I think there's a reason that everybody's adopting dogs right now, and I hope those people keep those dogs, because dogs are not disposable. They're not like property. It's the same thing. Like dog gets old. So much lately about people that the dog gets older and they're like they want a new model, and like that's not a reason to euthanize a dog. I mean, it's a family member.
There's some men like that, I know. Also, they always want a younger model, but the old ones still work. And now we have Elaine. We left out Elaine and Nico.
Yeah. Alain Flores.
Where is he?
He's on there. Take a look. Look up, look down, look to the side.
And find him.
Nico.
You know,
is that a golden or a lab?
Me or find it for me. So he has a story with boxing, and you know the contact he saw me. He rolled up.
Your microphone is not working, Alain.
Contact.
Your microphone is not working.
Turn your mic on, Elaine. And we're missing one person. We're missing the cat representative here. I don't know if he was afraid and he didn't come on, but we have Jesky, who's supposed to be here, representing cats of all worlds. Hopefully he will get on. So, you know.
Chico Lopez. Chico Lopez.
Oh my God. Chico Lopez. Look at
I'm in a kind of silent zone, so I can't hear if we are okay or.
Yes.
I just
No,
want to
Okay, perfect.
I just want to show you my dog because it's a little shy.
beautiful baby. Rock. Rock is trying to travel with Victor in his suitcase every time he leaves. Victor has pictures of him into his. It'll happen again, Victor. And Chico, who do you have there?
We have here, this puppy is 9 weeks old, and she actually belongs to Marco Antonio Barreras, and it's a special puppy. It's a thoroughbred American Pit Bull Terrier. The AC is hitting me right here, so she's kind of feeling it. That's why we got it covered. She's a very, very loving dog, super, very crazy about playing, running around, and just being a great companion. She's going to grow up to be a great influence for his children. So we're very happy. Her name is, the name that he gave her, his children gave her the name of Moet.
And look who we have here, the man from the cat house.
Good morning, good afternoon. Right. Byproduct of the cat house. How are you, everybody? Nice to meet you all.
Hello,
Don.
How are you? Thank you.
Do you have a picture of your cats?
No cats, no more animals in the house that are invited. Some uninvited pests, but nothing that's been brought in. No.
Victor, shall we begin?
Yeah, I really don't know what is going to happen here, so you go ahead.
Hey, BBC, whoever knows. So dogs, cats, cats. What the heck does this have to do with boxing? Heart. And they are what softens our hearts. We love our animals, and we represent the tough, the most hardened warriors in combat sports, but inside all of us, it's all puppies and kittens. I can guarantee you that. So, you know, sometimes they do bad things. They eat our shoes, they pee in our beds. So why do these resilient people in combat sports in a world like this cling to these soft, fuzzy creatures? They brush them, they bathe them, they talk baby talk to them. I mean, what do we get from them? These are our four-legged friends, soft and cuddly, our tranquilizers, our non-judgmental companions. Just coming home makes us a hero. I mean, if you win a fight, they kiss you. If you lose a fight, they kiss you twice. You are their champion. So they just look at you and you say, okay, you're home, let's play. So the purpose of WBC Talks is to entertain, educate, and sometimes give you a little bit of a window into our lives. So during this crisis, many of us have stayed close to our pets. So what happens when we go back to work? What happens when we leave them alone? Will they adjust too? Or are they actually anxious for some privacy? We don't know. So our boxers for boxers, we are one shoe away from finding out. Look at
It's Manny.
It's Manny and his dog. I guess Manny thinks that dogs are a great thing. So, Chris.
Yes.
How did you find Kiki? And when you come home at night, do you go first to the dog or first to Mauricio? I mean, what has Kiki brought into your life?
No, he comes first to me than anyone else. He's always waiting for me. He's always there. He jumps, you know, I go first to him than anybody else in the house because he's always there. He's always waiting and he can feel anything I'm feeling. So if I'm sad, he will sit just by my side. If I'm happy, he knows I want to play. You know, I've never had a dog before or a pet. Nothing. Until Valeria, our daughter, was turning, I believe she was turning 8, and she wanted badly a dog. So we went to this, to the pet store, and she fell in love with Kike, and I fell in love with him too. So that was the first time, and that was like a fourth baby to me.
And we know that Kiki's gotten into some mischief along the way. Do you want to talk about that? Or is that a secret?
Which one? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Oh, that's Kike.
Kiki has gotten into some mischief along the way. Is that a family secret or can you talk about it?
No, he's a naughty dog. He looks very nice and naive, but he won't behave. He's a Shih Tzu one. The Shih Tzu breed is a very silly one. They won't learn. It is very difficult to teach them. So he is all over the house and he is, marking his territory. I've had to change a lot of carpets because he won't understand. He's very determined, but he's very silly. He's not a smart dog.
What do you think?
But I love him anyway.
Joanne, do you think that's true? Do you think that's true of the breed?
I mean, that's what I read.
Well, I think people who have Shih Tzus, and I think it's true, feel that they're actually very intelligent, very smart, very people-like. Like they're always kind of seem to know what you're talking about and be right in on that conversation a little bit. I think they're probably hard to train more because people they're so cute and human baby-like that people give into them. So anything that has a cute smushed in face like that with big eyes, it's just like a cute little baby with fur. And so you just don't train them. You're like, you're just too cute to train. They are very trainable.
And they are very determined. They know what they want. And what I read also is that on the ancient times in China, the monks, they use them as carpets. They used to put their feet on top of them.
Yes.
Because they're so smooth and they're very good companions. I will never.
Yeah, very good companions. Yeah. But they are smart. Your dog might be smart enough to make you think he's not smart so that you don't get upset with them for peeing all over the house.
That is correct.
He might be smarter than you think.
So, Chris, if Kiki was a fighter, who would Kiki be?
Oh my God. I don't know. Maybe Canelo? No, I don't know.
You think he would be Canelo?
I've never think about that. I don't know. He would be, I don't know. Let me think about it and I'll answer that later.
Come back with that answer.
I'll
Look,
come back. Okay.
wait, is it difficult for you to leave your dog?
Very, very difficult. It is. It is. I miss him and I bring toys every time I go out because he's always there for me, you know?
Count on his love. So, Mr. 𝗧𝗟𝗡𝗗, what about you? What does it mean when you hit the road? Do you take that dog with you? She's so small.
And my previous guy was small too. They come to work with me. I mean, my dogs come to work with me. My office is right nearby, so like honestly, they're used to being around me a lot. When I travel, they're okay when they're with Devin. When they're used to the two of us. So like when I travel, I miss them, but they're fine. But I spend an awful lot of time, and I like to take my dog on a road trip, and it's pretty easy now to travel dog friendly if you have a little thing like this. I mean, she's all of 7.5 pounds. So,
Cutie. Given the profession that you're in, what advantage do you think it is to have a dog or an animal, a pet of any kind at home when you come back?
I think that we have a very hard, I mean, it's a very, we're in a high stress sort of business, and it's a very unforgiving business. Things change very quickly in boxing. It's so dogs add that level of calm and consistency. I think it's I've always viewed the dog as a dog for me in my life. I've had a dog for the last 50 years. My whole life I've had dogs. So I think it's therapeutic. I view her as sort of a therapy dog. Rather than have a scotch, I play with the dog. She falls asleep on my lap and watch the tube, and it's I just find it relaxing. Also, now having a puppy, by the way, now I'm walking more. During this pandemic, it's been perfect because she has incredible amount of energy. In fact, the reason she passed out right now is because she's been running around all day. But it's also sort of keeps you a little bit more active, I think.
Have you been able to train her? I mean, to train her to do what you need her to do?
No, I really I need some advice because I don't know what to do because we had scheduled training for her right before this thing happened. And then it just became hard. And for a while, you really weren't going out. So she was, doing her business in a little outdoor, metal, sort of pen that she could go out and walk around in. Then we began walking her a lot. But, she has a lot of accidents still. And she hasn't figured out that my glasses, my furniture, everything else aren't teething toys, And we managed to order through the internet and get dog toys in here for her to chew up. But she's chewing up furniture. She's chewing up my eyeglasses. And I lost a set of very expensive frames the other day. She chewed up my lenses that are $1 gazillion to redo. But she's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the picture there of what my dog did to my couch, but it's a completely non-existent couch.
I have a question for Joanne. It's she'll be about a year old, I guess, when I can get out of this and there'll be dog trainers working again or whatever. Is that still young enough to get trained appropriately?
Yeah, well, I think none of us, when this all started, think it was going to last so long. It was get 2 weeks worth of food. So we're oh, okay, I'll just put off my puppy training for 2 weeks, and then it was a month, and then it was 2. So, I would actually suggest you think about doing some virtual training because oddly enough, it's really beneficial to people that have new dogs and puppies. I think for some people that really want to focus specifically on heel work outdoors, maybe not so much, but I think you can glean a lot of information from doing, a session with somebody online. They can talk you through all of this potty training, chewing, puppy nipping and mouthing, all the typical stuff that you're going through with her.
The thing that scares me most is she bolts. Now I can get her now finally I can get her to stop, but she's a bolter. She likes to run away and play games and whatever. I can't get this dog to come to her. I mean, she'll follow me around, but when I want her here, it's not like she immediately comes.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's never too late to train her. The sooner you get started, the better. But I mean, she's only 10 months old, and hopefully you'll have her for 10 or 15 years. So it's always worth getting started whenever you're ready to. I mean, you've got the love part down. Now you just got to get the supervision part down to prevent her from making so many mistakes.
So during time, people can do it online, Joe?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I before this started, you couldn't even get me to FaceTime my family. They'd be like, let's FaceTime. I'm like, no. So I never thought that virtual training would be something that I would take to so quickly and that would be so beneficial for people. But I've met so many great people just on Zoom doing training sessions, and I think people benefit a lot from them. Again, depending on what it is they are looking for. And a lot of people are just looking for advice and guidance.
Interesting. So Lou, if your dog was a boxer, who would he be? She.
I don't know. Probably Mia St. John or something like that.
All right. I could see that. I can definitely see that. Could you hold her up again? Let's see that face. What do you think, guys? Mia? I think that works. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Chico, tell us dogs, please. You have such beautiful, beautiful dogs there. And I know that you have them, you give them out to many of our boxers. Like who has your dogs? And tell us about them. They're beautiful.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. I love dogs all my life since I was a little kid. My first dog that I had was it was a mixed breed dog, and it was a very special dog. And I fell in love with the different dogs until I discovered the American Pit Bull Terrier in New York. And I got very interested on find out why the American Pit Bull Terrier was, you know, so American and so on and so forth. So I studied the breed. And I've been with it for about 30 years. I did seminars on this particular breed already in 16 different countries around the world. And I help people. I've been a judge on the breed. And I can tell you that they're very special. When it comes to boxing, there has been a connection that was very, very strong back in the 1800s, 1920s, 1940s, and that kind of broke off a little bit. But if you know the heavyweight boxer, John Sullivan, he was a fan of this particular breed. Also Jack Dempsey, and also Jack Johnson, to mention some of them. Now, Terrence Crawford has two of my dogs. He contacted me, and I was in shock when he called me and he wanted to get a puppy. And he said, I know exactly how good these dogs are. And so he wanted me to sell him the dog, and I said, I have too much respect for you. So I gave him the puppy. Well, a few months later, he called me back again. And he said, well, you know, one is not enough. He really loves dogs. And so he got a second puppy. They're very athletic. So, and because they are thoroughbred American Pit Bull Terriers, they don't really look like what people think of a Pit Bull. These dogs have zero people aggression. They will never try to bite a person. And it's because it's the real American Pit Bull Terrier. They're thoroughbred animals, and they're very, very kind to kids and children. They're very loving to humans. They're very powerful looking dogs. They love to run. They never run out of gas. Terrence Crawford was telling me when he first took his first puppy called Goldie to the incline where they got these 2,500 steps in Colorado Springs where he trains. She was 7 months old and says, she gave everything she had. She couldn't go all the way to the top. When the next training session she came, she will take the whole 2,500 steps going up. And he says, the thing that most boxers found with the dogs is this particular breed is that they can actually connect to the genetic connection that humans feel with lions, with tigers, with thoroughbred horses. That on the picture is Alexander Usyk connecting with dog. His name, the dog's name is Floyd, actually. Kind of funny, but they're amazing dogs. This puppy right here, which I'm loving so much, this puppy belongs to Marco Antonio Barrera. And we talked about this puppy at the WBC convention in Kyiv. He really wanted to get it, and we reconnect now, and we spoke on the phone, and he's really, really in love with it. His children named her Moet. And as you can see there, Mauricio Suleiman with Canelo Alvarez. That was a beautiful picture there. That's a picture to frame on the wall. And Mauricio handed over this amazing puppy We called her La Reina. I don't know what Canelo calls her now, but I heard that he took her to special school to be trained, to be in the house with the children. Very, very, the whole family, that dog, this dog, and every other dog that I have, they're family members, and they do connect with humans in a very special way. They can influence you to have courage, to never give up. For training, I have a guy, he's not in boxing, but he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master. His name is Royce Gracie. He did the UFC 1, 2, and 3. And he contacted me, which was a tremendous honor. My wife is Brazilian, and I always been in love with him. He contacted me, and he wanted to get a puppy from this breed, and her name is Kali. And in the morning, he runs from 4 o'clock in the morning, he runs 5 miles. His son, Crory, runs another 5 to 10 miles, bring her home, and she still has energy to go around. So they're very good for training, for working out, and they do have those things that were built from at the very beginning, which is never give up, keep going, courage, being relentless, all these different feelings. You can actually feel it from them. As very small puppies, you get to feel the love. And as you can see, she's kissing me right now. She's so wonderful. It's like I told her, I'm gonna pay you if you actually kiss me on camera. But they're very loving, and they super smart. I mean, everybody is like so in love with them. And look at her, like if I put her to do it. And they're very powerful. If you give them the right diet, like in this case, I recommend raw diet. If they eat raw food, they stay very lean, and they have a lot of patience. They have a lot of great qualities, to be honest with you. And so
beautiful. Clearly not an apartment dog, but beautiful dog.
I studied genetics with them, and by epigenetics, these dogs, I mean, they really connect with a person. My mission is to have times like they used to be in the 20s and the 40s, where the best warrior boxers connect with this great breed, because this format of the breed is already extinct. Basically, these are the last ones of the breed. So once they're gone, what we will have will be the common pit bull that is bred by breeders in the street and stuff like that. But these ones, they're very special. I am with this breed 28 years, going to 30 years soon. And as you can see, it's nothing but love.
But Chico, what fighter would she be?
I'm sorry?
What fighter would she be?
Oh, she'll be like Marco Antonio Barrera.
Oh, okay. Well, that would together like that.
Yeah, no, she will be like a mirror of the owner, running, playing. She'll copy the personality. They adapt very well to the personality of the owner, and they complement the personality.
So they're very inspirational for boxers, people who have a lot of energy to take them out and work with them. But you wouldn't recommend, say, for someone like myself in Manhattan who has an apartment?
I will recommend it to you. I will recommend it to you as well, so much, because they will adapt to you and bring you the extra energy for you to continue going. And they are as loving as any breed. I mean, you get close to you, and they, I'm sorry?
What about Lou? Would he get along with Topolino?
Yes, we are very happy to see our dogs. You know, I didn't want my dogs to go out there in the world. And recently, 2 years ago, we let a few people have them, and they raised them together with 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞𝗦, with what's his name, Jack Russell Terriers, and all kinds of breeds, and they get along. In Mexico City, I have a gentleman that I took him a puppy, and he has a bulldog, 2 Chihuahuas, and a Great Dane together with the puppy, and they all play, and they're not aggressive to other dogs. Of course,
yard. I hope a very, very big yard for them.
They actually they accommodate themselves to people. The people in New York with the apartments will have no problem with them. Of course, you got to.
Quite a beautiful, quite an exceptional animal. If you see
very nice.
My dog is eating my table, so as we talk. So I mean, you were talking about Lou, but if this all of a sudden you see the computer go down, it's because the dog is taking one leg of the table away.
I tell you something, they're a lot of fun to be with. They they'll take you and they'll never let you go, you know? That's how they are.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that. Elaine, what is the story of Nico? How did you get Nico and
Hi, sorry
life?
for the show because of the connection, so I hope everybody can listen to me. Since I was with dogs all my life, with poodles, you know, and all that finished when I got married.
Alain, estás usando audífonos y se oye terrible. No sé si el micrófono está rozando, pero no te entendemos absolutamente nada. Si puedes usar otra cosa.
Si quieren, sigan y ahorita me preguntan.
If you want to go to the next one, Jill, because he has some problems with the microphone.
Okay. Okay, we can do that. Will the phone be fixed, do you think? Will the microphone be fixed?
Yeah, he said it will take a couple of minutes, but if you can go to the next one and then come back with him.
Well, we're saving Don for the last because he's our cat person. Do we have any pictures of Don's cats?
I have no cats to present to you. No photographs. It's sort of an odd story with cats.
Let's pick Don's
I
cat.
thought you were a cat guy, Don.
Well, I'm not, you know, the thing I got these, I was going to ask that question, you know, about cats. None of those are mine, by the way, but I noticed that people that have 1 or 2 cats or they have 20 cats. Is this a psychosis that people go through? Because something happens. Obviously, dogs can breed with other dogs. They're less likely, but a cat can go out. You let a cat out of the house. Obviously, it mates with any feral cat it meets. Why is that? There's got to be something that the syndrome of the old lady with the 20 or 30 cats. Why is that? I've asked Joanne, is there a psychological reason that people allow these cats to keep, you know, reproducing? They don't do anything about it. Whereas with a dog, you would stop it right away. But it seems that cats,
You know,
never have, they're in pairs or in dozens.
cat people and dog people, I don't know. I'm a dog person, but some might say that if you own 20 to 30 cats, maybe there's a little something off about you. But there are, unfortunately, people that have that many dogs as well. And that's where probably many of the dogs that we've adopted from shelters and rescues come from hoarding situations where people, they love their pets. They start out potentially innocently and they have a couple dogs and then they have a few more dogs and then they have a few more. Or it can even happen to people that are in rescue and no one's good enough to adopt their dog. And they start kind of going off a little bit and then they end up with massive amounts of dogs and they're not taking good care of them and they love them and don't want to give them up, and it becomes a very emotional thing to get those dogs out of those homes and into safer homes because there's a disconnect, I think, that happens at some point with people where they go from loving their animals to not being well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a manifestation.
There must be a intense psychology to it, but a lot of the dogs in shelters are from hoarding situations where people probably started off with all the good intentions and they end up with 20 or 30 dogs and the city goes in and they're like, you cannot have all these dogs and you're not taking care of them. The dog I had with me before on my lap, he's now sleeping on the floor in exchange for Olive, but I got him as a puppy from a rescue, and I was very fortunate to get him as a puppy because I knew the people at the rescue, but his parents came in they were both Brussels Griffons that had been rescued from a hoarding situation. And when they came into the rescue, they were so badly matted that they were just in terrible shape and very thin and undernourished and unhealthy, and they didn't even realize that the female was in fact carrying puppies, and she gave birth to puppies in rescue, and I ended up fortunate enough to get one because I always want to rescue, so I never end up with a puppy. So I ended up with a puppy rescue because he was born in the shelter itself.
Okay.
Hey, Victor, tell us about Rock, the one who travels into your suitcase when you leave. What's going to happen when you start traveling again?
For some reason, before Rocks, I had 𝗧𝗡𝗨𝗡𝗗, and she always loved to be in my suitcase also. When I'm doing my suitcase, they got into it. I have a couple of pictures here that maybe they can use, but that's what they do. I'm not sure why is that. Maybe they just want to go with me, or they don't want me to go, or that's rocks. But I just sent them another picture if they can show it. For some reason, this is what happens when I'm traveling.
He wants to stop you.
Yeah,
Apparently.
my previous dog, she was a Weimaraner, and she did that a lot, and it was amazing when suddenly my new dog, well, she's 7 years old now, did the same thing. She was into my suitcase.
Want you to stay or they want to go?
I think they want to go.
I think they want to go.
Yeah, we both want to escape from my kids, you know?
Oh my God. So Victor, what's it going to be like when you go? I mean, we're all eventually going to go back to our old lives, I think, I hope. What's going to happen?
I think she's going to miss me a lot because we spend a lot of time. She's 7 now, and she's always sleeping next to me or standing next to me and wants me to pet her, or that's what she wants. But my kids, especially my son, has a great connection with the dog too. And when I'm not home, she's always following Ian. So I think she can stand that. She's been doing that for the past 7 years.
Elaine, can you talk now?
Final round. Let's see. Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay, thank you.
Nico.
Well,
how did you name her? Did you find her?
No.
What is
All
she?
my life I was a kid, and everything finished. My dogs were small breed, poodles, mostly poodles, and everything finished when I got married. But the kids, are saying, "Hey, please, Dad, give us a dog." No, because nobody's gonna take care of him.
Nobody does. Yeah.
Daddy, the same story as every family has. But then it happens that Eduardo Lamazon, the former WBC executive secretary, sent an email. I'm giving a dog in adoption, please call me, blah, blah, blah. And I told my father, hey, Dad, you like a dog? And my father said, yes, it will be nice. So I called Eduardo Lamazon. I told him, Eduardo, I am your man. My father is going to keep it. Eduardo Lamazon made me a huge exam, to see if I was qualified for that. And I think I approved. And everything was fine. When I hang up, when I finished the conversation with Eduardo, my father called me, son, I talked with your mom, and she says no. Oh my! So I was thinking, what am I gonna do? So I make a family reunion and says, okay, we have this situation, and we're gonna have a dog or not. What do you think? Everybody says yes. So we went to Eduardo Lamazon's house, and the first contact I had with Nico was he saw me, he rolled over, and he made pee. It was so funny. It was so intense. And now, right now, in this moment, with this huge man right here, when I can talk him very nice, I can talk him, oh my little dog, because he makes pee. He gets so excited that he makes pee. So it has been a kind of experience, for all the family, that he has become the king of the house. We have a little garden with a fence, so he could not touch the grass, you know. And it all was finished when he knew how to jump. Now the garden is his completely. So this man has been changing our lives, you know. He has been giving us support when we are sad, or even when we are happy. So it's a blessing to have a dog, you know. In this quarantine, I think it has been a haven for him, because we are all the day with him. He can't eat even if we are not with him. So let's see what happens when everything finished, when the quarantine finished. And this is the story of my dog.
Chris, do you feel your dog relates to you that way?
Yes, very much, very much. And the funny thing is, he's the only one not complaining about being locked down. He seems to be happy, and he's happy. I mean, and I have my question. I mean, I have my answer about the boxer. He would definitely be Jorge Travieso Arce.
I can see that.
That's the boxer Kike would be, definitely.
And Elaine, who would your dog be?
I think will be Mike Tyson, because he is very, very aggressive with other dogs, you know. Even the big one say, hey, are you looking at me? I say, hey, come on, man. Come on. So I think Mike Tyson will be the right personality for this guy.
And Victor?
I would say that Rox would be Lennox Lewis.
Lennox.
When someone strange comes to the house, it could be really dangerous, and it's everybody walks back because it defends the house and defends the family. But when it's with my kids or with me, she always rolls and wants the kids to pet the belly, and she's so lovely. I used to have, as I told you, Weimaraners, and I love them, but I found that this pit bull is the smartest pet I ever had. It is easy to train, a little stubborn, but lovely, and she knows what to do.
Very nice. So, Joe, do you think there's any dog that isn't trainable besides Gypsy? Now, I have to give Gypsy, I'm going to make Gypsy, someone's going to get angry at me, but I'm calling Gypsy Jelena Mershon.
You haven't said anything about Gypsy yet.
You said that Gypsy was getting much better, but it's hilarious that she's about to eat that bottle, but you're like just putting it in her mouth.
Gypsy and I share our RX water. She is
the RX
water. I like to think that all dogs are trainable. So, you know.
But she is, you know, one of the biggest puppies, and she was a gift. All of my dogs have been rescue dogs, except for Gypsy, who was a gift from a very good friend. She's this daughter of a friend of mine, who in fact named her Gypsy. And I brought her in from Mexico to live in Manhattan. She was a very little baby, and she came from a very nice area. And it was storming, raining, storming, a very, very hot, ugly night. I pulled her out of her carrying case. The trucks were all over New York City, drunks all over the street. And I drove her around and I said, Gypsy, this is your life. Girl. And she is a city girl, but traveling with her would be maybe a little bit more difficult. But is there anything you guys regret about having animals, given the lifestyles that you have?
I would like to ask Joanne if all the owners are trainable.
No, right. No, they're not. But, you know, one thing, and I don't know if you experience this too, but sometimes you get frustrated with people, you know, because you're like, what's wrong with this person? And then you're like, but they called me. So they obviously care and they love their dog. Or we'll be doing like puppy classes and you're like, might be get a little critical with the trainers and they're like, you know, chatting between themselves. I'm like, but all these people are here. So they love their dogs. They want to train them. They want to try. And, you know, it's really, it's hard to learn a new skill. So I don't box, but I do ballroom dancing. And I learned it as an adult. And it was very humbling for me. And it made me a better teacher because I would like, the teacher has to keep telling you the same thing over and over again. And that's what we all do when we teach a skill. And you're like, what, is this person stupid? Like I said, do X, Y, and Z. But that's what, you know, happens to me when I learn a new skill. So we have to be gentle with humans when they're trying to learn a new skill, like how to train their dog or, you know, how to ballroom dance or how to box.
Consistency, it's so hard because they're so cute. And sometimes when they mess up, you go like, ah, darn, you know what?
Well, I have to tell you, I think what's most remarkable with people, and myself included, is like I always look at dog behavior and I'll say to the person, would you let your child do that? And they're like, no way. So we're super indulgent with our dogs. And we just, if we thought about them a little bit more like human children, we might train them a little bit more. Because like, you know, a dog sitting at the window barking at the neighbors as they're walking by. And I'm like, I think they're just sitting there cursing at your neighbors. Would you let your child do that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well,
I have something to add, something funny to add. You call the vet first if the dog gets sick, then you call the doctor when your kid gets sick. You call the vet first.
Yes.
True.
Yeah,
the kid can wait.
You know, keeping a pet, they're perennial juveniles. They're the child that never grows up. So, you know, when you get a pet, you got to say you're going to make it. I mean, I love animals enough that I don't keep any pets any longer, but that's a 10, 15, 20 year, sometimes more commitment you're making to something that's going to depend on you. You know, they say the animal takes on the personality of the owner. Actually, they're imprinting on it. Which I have to remark with Lou, seeing how docile his dog is. Your bark is much worse than your bite, Lou, and you've proven that this afternoon. You know?
That's true.
Yeah, and people just, you know, throw it away. It's not a commodity. People buy animals or take pets as for ego purposes. We're not talking dogs or cats, domesticated animals more or less, but they're exotic animals like snakes and lizards and even tigers to an extent. And they're finished with them. They outgrow their novelty. They get too big, and then they cast them aside, have them killed, or throw them out into the wild, or whatever they're trying to do, which is a crazy thing. But anybody who loves animals has to realize you're getting into that. You're going to have a child that never grows up. You're going to have to take care of it the rest of its life, sometimes more, the rest of your life. And that's a big commitment, and that's a lot of love. You get a lot in return, but you got to make that commitment as well. It's like raising a child.
I have to say, I've been watching a lot of the Animal Planet during this crisis because there's nothing on TV to watch anymore that doesn't make me feel depressed. But the Animal Planet has some great shows. But Don, you are the best at training animals. I mean, here's a man who ended up with something like 700 cats.
No, it was like 12. This tale, when it's told, it exponentially increases with each retelling. I don't know why. I've had every cat in the world. I'm sort of like the Pied Piper of Hamelin was leading every rat. Now I'm leading every cat out of the city of New York or into it.
Let's tell your cat story.
Well, I mean, actually, the cat came by the house. I had my wife and I had split up at the time, and there was a cat came by, and I didn't realize that the cat was gravid. And I fed it a few times, and once it went into my closet. I went away for a couple of days. I came back, and he heard this peeping, and assumed the cat had brought in a bird, and it turned out to be 6 kittens. Well, as you may have experienced, you try to give cats away. Nobody wants cats. You get a dog. But I called the shelter, the ASPCA, and by the way, said, look, nobody will take the cats. We'll have to destroy them. So weeks, days turn into weeks into a month. Now these cats are almost, you know, they're ready to reproduce themselves after a couple of months, and they would go out of the house. I mean, all these accommodations. I quite sincerely will say to you about this cat situation with me. It was probably a manifestation of a neurosis, and it was very likely that the cats were, they kept me. I didn't keep the cats. So I'm running out buying cat food by the dozen and milk and water. It's bankrupting me basically, and there's nobody to take care of them. I had to hire people to feed them when I went out of town. It was an insane situation. But as the cats kept growing, the female cats, then they would go out and mate, and I finally had them all fixed to the tune of a few $1,000s, and I kept them till they basically died off. But it was a very bad situation. I wouldn't tell anybody to do that. You thought you're doing something good, but you're not really. I would say if you do that, make sure the cats are, you know, spayed and neutered the minute you get them. I mean, that sounds, we cannot implant human, you know, that we have a tendency to anthropomorphize animals. They're not humans, they're animals. They live in a different world than us. So I say, oh, I wouldn't want to have a cat, you know, spayed. I wouldn't have the cat neutered, but that's the best thing you can do for that animal. And the thousands, the millions, actually millions of strays and feral animals that are around are an example of that. People who are too irresponsible not to have it done and not thinking in a proper manner. But anyway, as I say, I have enough feeling. I have love for animals all my life, and I would say definitely I would, until it's time I can devote the time and the care to them, I would never take another pet. And while I'm on the subject, I think people who take exotic animals, really, that's not love of animals. I mean, any cat or dog is bred, like you say, they are raised to be domesticated animals, to be kept. That's why they exist in this world. It's like when people say to justify being an omnivore, you eat meat. Oh, is that terrible? Well, there's not a chicken or a cow that I've eaten or parts of that wasn't raised for that purpose. I'm not taking a wild animal out, and it's for nutritional purposes. And it's by culture. I was raised that way. And the same thing, a dog or a cat or an animal that's raised specifically as a pet, you have one justification there. To bring a wild animal and to keep it, that is merely a manifestation of ego. When you ever hear about people keeping lions or tigers or leopards or pythons or monitor lizards that are now running wild in the Everglades, and people just force them out there. I mean, we have one of the best animal keepers was the fellow with Siegfried and Roy. And this man had a lifetime's experience, and he was attacked and mauled by a tiger. So that animal can happen at any time. But I think I read about Mike Tyson keeping tigers, and to keep exotic pets it's truly a crime. And I think in my country, the United States, we do not do enough to stop that from happening. I think that's a terrible practice. And it's nothing to do with love of animals. It's to do love of oneself and manifesting your ego, that you have some exotic creature. Buy a piece of art if you want something. Don't take an animal.
Very well said. Now finish up about what happened when you had the 200 cats living at your house, Doc.
400 cats, yes, they all imprinted. Well, as I say, I just kept them until they finally passed away. I put swing gates in the back of my my house so they could go in and out. Not the house I live in now.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
How did you? How did you know there were cats in your house?
How did I know they were cats? I mean, when the kittens.
You walked in, and what happened?
Well, the first time I found out that as I said, I had gone on a business trip for a couple of days. I had to put a swing window where the cat could go in and out, which I didn't realize that goes out. What does it go out to do? It goes out to meet other cats. It just doesn't go out to socialize and go to the corner bar. So anyway, the cat was free to come in and out. So what the hell there? There was food and water for it. And I came back and I heard a little peeping, as I said earlier, and I thought it was a bird it had brought in the house, and it had 6 kittens, which is why it obviously was seeking shelter, this female cat. And then the cats mated with the cat. Well, this is pretty much I'm giving you sort of the birds and the bees. It's the cats and the cats. And they got more and more, and I couldn't find anybody to take them. And of course I felt empathy for them, and they just kept growing and growing until there was about a dozen cats. And finally I found out those cats were gravid, so I had to have them all fixed. And eventually they sort of, died up. But I had moved to a new house, so there were just 3 or 4 cats left. And I said, look, there's nothing I can do. I gave them to a neighbor. I said, take care of these cats for me. I won't be able to take them. They go to my house a few miles from where I lived. And one night I hear outside, beep, 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 beep. I said, what's this? I open the door. There's all 4 of the cats standing outside looking for a home, the same home that they had left. So I guess they were looking for the homeowner, not the home. And the cycle started over again. Fortunately, they'd been fixed at that point. So I kept those until they passed away and went on to cat heaven, wherever that may be.
You are a cat aficionado, right?
Don't be too good or too bad. I mean, you can overextend it, yes, but they won't. I'll tell you, that's a sense of loyalty, because they always say cats are independent. But once they imprint on you, I guess they'll follow you. I don't know. Maybe you can say more about that, Joanne, if they are that. People always say they're so independent, but I found they weren't that independent.
So
codependent, more likely.
I asked all of you, or some of you, if you had a favorite animal charity that you wanted to recommend for people, because during this time there's been a lot of problems with feeding and clothing of cats, but that goes back to Don. You did dress those little cats up, didn't you, Don? I heard stories about
they
that.
They had hats, coats, and shoes. Everyone fitted to them. Yes, tailored. No, actually, I let them be cats. That was it, and I was just an enabler. I fed them, and that was it. Had a place to sleep, and they came in when as they like. It was cat motel. Invite your friends.
If anybody has the name of a animal rescue service or a charity that they like to just name right now, please do, because people are listening and they may follow it up. Does anybody here have the name of something they'd recommend, Joe? A rescue service or anything?
So I always feel compelled to promote the rescues that gave me my beautiful animals. So, you know, there's so many good rescues and it's hard to pick one, but Olive, the dog I'm holding now, came from a really tiny rescue called Red Hook Animal Rescue. It's in Brooklyn. And Sam, who I had before, came to me from Heavenly Angels Animal Rescue. And so I promote them because they gave me my beautiful, beautiful dogs. And I'm grateful to them for that. You know, there's so many rescues. They're all just doing their best to find homes for dogs. And they really need foster, you know, people to foster dogs. Olive, the one I'm holding now, is my failed foster. So I fostered her. She was in the pill shelter in Brooklyn. And we went in to get her out and I was like, I'll foster her. And then I had her for a while and she was very sick. And then she went into heat. So we couldn't spay her. And so I was like, well, I guess she's mine. Because by the time all that was over, I had her for like 4 months. I certainly wasn't going to give her up. I was like, I can be her person.
Does anybody else have one they'd recommend?
Adóptame Mexico. Adopt Me Mexico. Yeah. They do a wonderful job with the dogs too.
Adóptame México.
Say the name again.
We should write out that one down.
What is for now, Victor? Say again.
Adóptame Mexico.
Adóptame Mexico. That's easy to remember.
Like Adopt Me Mexico.
Mexico.
Adopt Me Mexico. Nice. I usually deal with Last Hope in Long Island. They're a very good shelter too, and they are the last hope for a lot of the animals. And then, of course, if you can find a place for the animal, you bring it to Don's house.
Give it to me. We'll take care of it. Put the windows indoor, any species, any size. Yeah. Elephants on down.
All right. To wrap up,
I'm a big fan of the North Shore Animal League in New York, and also Mauricio. This little one came from Kevin Deaver. You know, Kevin's a very good friend of the WBC, but Kevin pretty much now he manages a couple of fighters. He has an undefeated heavyweight named Amron Sands, but pretty much now Kevin's almost full time running an animal shelter, his own animal shelter, and he regularly has about 35 rescues. They're generally rescued from puppy mills, so he generally has full-bred dogs that he's rescued. This is where Topolina came from. She was rescued from a puppy mill, but she came through Kevin Deaver, and Kevin's really a saint when it comes to animals. So I don't know the name of his rescue, but you know, I know the WBC can get in touch with him. But he's got a great dog rescue, and I'd recommend to anybody to contribute to his rescue.
Great. I haven't heard from Kevin in a long, long time. I'm gonna look out for him.
Said hello, and I'll tell him we spoke about him on this call.
So given the wealth of animals we have here, we have to end this the way we always end all of the broadcasts. Of these dogs, who has the best jab? What do you think?
Oh,
I think I'm going to go for Rock. Rock is the best. Oh, what do you think, Chico? Oh, Chico's saying it's Moe. Definitely. Who has the best chin?
The chin.
I'd say I have that one right here, the one that's eating my chair, Gypsy. The best chin.
I would say Gypsy. Yeah.
Who's the best who's the speediest one? Anyone for speed?
I think Luke, baby.
Real fast.
Me. Definitely me.
Real fast.
Okay. Anything else? What do you think?
Chin. Oh, power. Power.
Who has the most power?
Dogs, definitely. You can stand next to her when she's moving the tail because it hurts your leg. It's that strong.
And what about Kiki, Chris? What is her?
Kike.
Kike.
Can I say this? Can I say the story about when you learn the name, Jill?
Tell them.
Say it.
So we get this dog, this baby, and the name is Quique.
Which is the small for Enrique.
Small for Enrique.
That's it.
Quique.
Quique.
But Christian writes to she says, what's the name of the dog? Quique.
K-I-K-E.
K-I-K-E. And Jill reads, Kike? Oh my God, how can you name Kike a dog?
Because that's an insult, right?
Yes, it is.
In the Jewish community, and we didn't know that. But you pronounce Quique.
Because you didn't have the accent marked on.
I know.
Mark, a big difference in a friendship. Let me just tell you that.
You know what Lou was saying, dogs become part of your family.
Absolutely.
I spoke to Lou and he was crying like a baby when he lost his dog, because that's what becomes, they're your partner, they don't judge you, they don't yell at you, they don't do anything other than give you their love and their time and it's just something that whoever does not have a pet has to go and change their lives, because they do give you a full life. And that's where you find the best out of human beings, with the pets.
There's very few things more important than unconditional love. And what you get from your dog or your pet is unconditional love. You know?
That's
right?
what I'm saying. They don't care if you're a winner or a loser, a champion or whatever, you're their hero. You're they are the best.
Great to see everybody. Thank you for having me today. I got to jump
Bye.
on another call, but it was great seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Victor, do your thing, Victor.
I think we're gonna wrap it up. So stay home, stay safe. Jill.
Round 42.
Thank you for having me.
You
Yeah.
Thank you.
prayers for all of our animals. They're rentals for a short time. We love them. We love everyone. So have a safe weekend. Well, it's almost the weekend. No, you have to stay in for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day, isn't it, Maurice?
Every day's a weekend now.
Larry Holmes.
Oh, Larry, wow.
One with Mauricio. Woo! All right. All right. Tune in.
Best job ever.
There you go. Bye.
Take care, Don. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
Dios tocayo, Vic.
Bye, cuídense.
Chico,
Un abrazo, saludos.
gusto verlo, mi querido hermano. Lo quiero mucho.
Igualmente, hermano, un placer. Ahí está Moet, le mando saludos también.
Give
Moet.
that back, Chico.
Hey, Jill, thank you so much for the program. It's fantastic. I mean, hearing you guys talk is lovely.
But you have to give Moe back now. Don't forget.
Yeah, I have to give her back.
If you don't want you, send him to me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.